Hi everybody, welcome to County Connection. I'm Kevin Wynn. Many people have been waiting for many years for the event that recently took place on Biscayne Bay, the beginning of construction of the new Miami Art Museum. Here to tell us what the new MAM will look like and what it will mean is the new director of the Miami Art Museum, Thomas Collins. Welcome to County Connection.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
Mr. Collins, good to have you here. So many people have been waiting for the new MAM to break ground. They've seen the renderings and the plans, and you know, if you're building a facility like this, it takes a while, but now it's finally coming to fruition. To give us an idea of where we are.
Sure. Well, in late November, we broke ground in a ceremony that involved, of course, all of the appropriate representatives of the community, and then we're actually going vertical as we speak. They finished test pilings and are getting into the ground.
So what does going vertical mean to those of us who
It means that they're actually digging and putting in foundations.
Okay, so the very basic elemental work.
That's right, really getting started.
Well, as we begin this construction of the building, could you tell us what kind of role you see for art museums in 21st century growing communities like ours?
Absolutely. Well, you know, museums historically have been repositories for the cultural artifacts that are important to a particular community, and of course this museum is growing to accommodate ever-growing collections like that. And of course museums also are places where art is presented in a context in which people can come to understand it through educational outreach and various kinds of programs. And of course we do all that, and we'll do it in an expanded capacity in the new building. But there's something that's novel about our approach, and that is that we're really also engaged with the idea that as museum practice evolves, we have to respond more to our immediate community by making the institution an important social forum, a place where people, whether they're interested in art or not, whether they're interested in art education or not, nonetheless will come to gather and you know, discuss issues of you know, importance to the community. And that's, so we hope to be a progressive social forum in addition to being those other things that museums historically have been. A
place where you connect with the community connects with the arts.
Yes.
The artists locally here, the artists from elsewhere, and also in the wider context, Miami Art Museum, beyond the building, connecting with the art world. I mean, we have Art Basel, but there's a whole great big art world besides that. So tell us about the role of the museum in that way.
Sure. Well, I mean, of course, we serve our local Miami-Dade audiences. I mean, that's our principal audience. We have a national impact through our exhibitions and educational programs, and we have an international impact in the sense that in our exhibitions and publications and in our exchanges with other institutions throughout the world, we represent the very diverse community of Miami to the rest of the world. So that's a very important part of what we do. The city is so visible and it's active and growing at a time when so many cities, particularly in the Northeast, that have great museums are really dying. And this is a great opportunity for us in a city which has a population that looks like the future of many cities in the United States. We have an opportunity to model an appropriately new, responsive museum practice, and that's really what we hope to do here.
Art education is very important for MAM today. In your new facility, what kind of facility will you have to improve that, build on that?
Right. Well, as I mentioned, one of the reasons we're growing the building is to grow our collections and to grow our exhibition programs, but we in our current facility do not have the kinds of educational spaces we need to serve the vast audience we serve. I mean, even in our old building, we're serving 30,000 school children a year and many, many more adults through classroom programs, through in-gallery education, through community outreach, and through adult public programs. In our new building, we actually have an auditorium, more classroom spaces, hands-on workshop spaces, a media laboratory, a library, the kinds of expanded educational facility that we really need to serve our growing audience. So that's critical. I think something else that's really important, though, is to talk about the fact that, you know, museums used to be understood as a kind of a place where one had a passive experience. You know, one would go in and sit, kick back and look at something quietly, have a private experience. And we think about the museum as a place where one can do that, but in the educational context, where we can teach both about art and art history and artistic practice, but also use art to teach about other issues of interest and importance to all of us. So to teach both about, but also through arts to children and adults. It's going to be great to have these expanded facilities to do that.
Definitely. Now, speaking of facilities, tell us about the building. How does it fit into Miami's landscape, into its architectural thing? Tell us about the building.
Sure. Well, the building was designed by Herzog & de Meuron, which a Pritzker Prize-winning architecture firm based in Switzerland, who are don't have a signature style, who don't produce iconic buildings, but really produce buildings that serve specific functions. They do it elegantly and beautifully, and in this particular case, they've really thought about what this museum needs to be in this community. It's going to be in a beautiful sculpture park, a 20-plus acre park.
On the bay.
On the bay, right
Fantastic.
on the bay. And so they've created a space that looks in some ways very, very Brazilian. It's a very tropical building with large overhangs and sheltered outdoor spaces that transition from the bay to the park to the gallery and back, so people can have a kind of seamless engagement both with nature and with art, take advantage of those incredible vistas, but also places to gather for free, right? Outside,
Fantastic,
sheltered from
right.
the elements and so forth. And of course we'll have restaurant and store and all those kinds of things that will draw people as well. But it's a building that responds both to our very complex educational and exhibitions program, and also responds to this community's need for outdoor spaces where people can gather in a comfortable way. Everybody comes to Miami to enjoy the outdoors, and yet there are so few places that are comfortable to gather, and this is one of the principal motivations that drove the design process.
Wow, well, can't wait. It's finally happening. Thank you so much for telling us about it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This County Connection is timing out, but don't forget, Miami-Dade is online for you 24/7. Just visit miamidade.gov/on-demand to watch Miami-Dade TV anytime you please, or dial 311 to get quick and easy answers to all your county questions. For County Connection, I'm Kevin Wynn. Thanks for watching.